All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is 1 o'clock. Let's get the first Kendall KCL in 2022 rolling. Thank you for taking the time to join us today as we take a close look at the latest and greatest in panel view and visualization offerings from Rockwell. My name is John Bain, and I'm a drives and motion specialist covering West Michigan, and I will be your host for today's KCL. Before we dive into today's agenda, let's take a brief moment to review the Microsoft Teams live format. In the top right, you have the question and comments button. You can select this to display the live Q&A tab. The featured option will show all published questions and comments during the presentation. My questions will show only those you have entered. To ask a question, please click the Ask a Question button located in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. On today's agenda, Justin Lundberg will be kicking us off with an overview on Kendall's service offerings and upcoming events to keep an eye out for. Next up will be Ryan Hansen, who will update us on the Panaview 800 and the various controllers it is compatible with. Mr. Eric Paquette will then discuss the Panaview Plus 7 performance changes with the new Series B release. Rockwell's awesome industrial PC line and their capabilities will then be reviewed by Dan Pelton. And the new kid on the block, Derek Disher, will close out the presentation part of this KCL with an update on the Panaview 5000s and software enhancements in View Designer. We will conclude the event with our traditional Q&A. I encourage you all to submit questions throughout the presentation, and we will review them at the end. And with that, I will pass the torch to Justin.
Thank you, John, and hello, everyone. Welcome to the March KCL Spotlight. I'm Justin, an automation specialist out of Kalamazoo. Before we get started with the new panel view, I'm here to help familiarize you with products and services offered to you by Kendall Electric. Did you know we have a website and an app? Go to shop.kendallelectric.com on your computer, tablet, or phone. There you can easily place orders, check product pricing, availability, view open orders, invoicing, and more. If you do not have a Kendall account, it's not a problem. There's a sign-up link on the website. Or you can search your app store for the Kendall Electric OE Touch app for the same functionality. The app is available for both Apple and Android devices. Both great options to browse Kendall at your convenience. Most organizations are engaged in some type of digital transformation project. These projects may be necessary, however, they may also expand your cybersecurity risk. Kendall can help you and your team manage cybersecurity risk. The first step is identification. Cybersecurity risk identification is achieved by reviewing network characteristics, critical vulnerabilities, unsupported operating systems, and network communication patterns. For more information, contact your local Kendall branch or your service specialist. At Kendall Electric, we don't just repair, we remanufacture. Do you need a quick turnaround on a failed HMI? We have your solution. Do you need to remanufacture that old spare drive in the tool crib? Well, we restore failed and aged automation products to like new using the original OEM parts. Our proprietary remanufacturing process also helps maintain safety performance certifications on your safety-rated automation products. Remanufacturing services offer a cost-saving solutions as compared to purchasing new components and can offer new life to existing automation investments. Introducing the Plant PAX 5.0 Distributed Control System. The plant-wide process control system uses a common automation platform which can easily integrate process metrics and discrete control, as well as utilize plant-wide information. Designed to be scalable and modular, Ethernet IP communications allow off-the-shelf products to easily integrate into the system. The Plant PAX will help make informed process control decisions and report real-time data directly to the enterprise level. Open up your calendar. We have some dates coming for you. Rock Live is coming to Orlando. It's got 3 main stage appearances, networking events, and more than 125 unique sessions, including a mix of best practices, industry case studies, hands-on learning, and the latest innovations in industrial technology. The event is happening from June 13th to the 16th of this year. Wait for more information to be announced. Next, we have Automation Fair. The save the date for this event is November 16th and 17th. Automation Fair hosts training sessions, keynote presentations, live interviews from Rock Studios, and of course, the show floor highlighting the newest innovations in technology, all presented by Rockwell Automation. For those of you who are new, this KCL will be posted in our growing library on Kendall's YouTube channel. If you have any questions about today's content, contact your local Kendall branch, account manager, or automation specialist. I hope to see you at future KCLs or at the Kendall Electric YouTube channel. Again, welcome to the March Kendall Connection Live. The presentation will be starting shortly. Ryan, you can take it away now.
Hey, thanks, Justin. My name is Ryan Hansen. I'm a PLC HMI and motion specialist with Kendall Electric, and I'm going to be doing an update on our Panaview 800s. Panaview 800 is a great solution for small to mid-size applications. It's got a lot of really nice features on board, and it comes with free programming software, CCW. CCW is the Connected Components Workbench software, and we use it to not only configure the Panaview 800s, but we can also program our micro 800 controllers, any of our PowerFlex VFDs, and a whole host of other products from Rockwell. Panaview 800s have a lot of benefits to them. One of them is the really bright screen. I am surprised when I'm walking around with customers in their facilities at how many places I see these, not just on equipment, but I see it on like pumps, air handlers. I've seen them on trash compactors, on material handling equipment and end-of-line equipment. You know, they communicate with multiple protocols, including serial, Modbus, and Ethernet IP, which means they can connect to almost any controller. And they have recipe management, data logging, and trending. We can use USB and micro SD for that. And we can connect remotely over VNC. And the Panaview 800s work great for large machines, large simple machines. I have a number of customers that make really big equipment, but they're very simple in nature. But you want to have multiple points where operators can start and stop equipment, or they can see faults and other warnings on the machines. And using the Ethernet protocol, we can communicate up to 8 of them with a micro 850 controller, and it works really well. Recently, Rockwell released version 13 of CCW, and they did a firmware revision 6.012. And what that enables is the Panaview 800s to connect to the CompactLogix 5380 controllers. And those are catalog numbers 5069. But we can now connect to the smallest of the processors, the L306, which makes for a great high-performing combination. Some of the other new features in version 13 include the time data type entry, which is great for anyone that's used the micro 800 controllers before and had to input time for timers or some other function. And now we have a way to do it natively in the Panaview. There's a new Object Explorer, which makes it easy to navigate some more complicated screens where you might have multiple objects stacked on top of one another. We now have the ability to lock objects in place. We can turn objects on and off to make it easier to see what's going on underneath. There's a new vibrate function, which is great for stacked objects because we can show hidden objects in the back by having it shake back and forth. They've added some new features to the tags as well. There's a new, on the global connections, we're able to add tags to that. So we can add system tags and push that system data out to PLC tags. We're able to select from any of the onboard system tags. We now have the ability to have animation built into the system memory tags. So we can change system tags by a certain value, and we have triggers that we can add to that, which makes for really nice animations. And on our multi-state indicator, we can now tie those animations directly to the state. So there's no complicated programming in the panel view when you want to create really nice looking displays. And Rockwell has a great example of this on their website. They're showing here it's a bottling line, and they created this whole bottling line using animation tags built into the panel view, as well as the multi-state indicator. There's a lot of great resources on the Rockwell website, so I'd encourage everyone to go out there and take a look at it. There's some videos, good documentation. You know, it's really designed to be self-guided, but if you end up with any questions, you know, we're here at Kendall. We're always happy to help. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Eric Paquette.
Okay, thank you, Ryan, for that update on the Panaview 800. I'm Eric Paquette, an automation engineer with Kendall Electric, based out of the Grand Rapids market area. And today I'll be discussing the Series B release of the Panaview Plus 7 performance model. First though, before I get into the Series B, I'd like to give you a little bit of background on the Series A. So the Panaview Plus 7 has two versions, a standard version and a performance version. The standard version was released back in 2014, and a year later along came the performance version. So both of these were released and intended to replace the predecessor, which was the Panaview Plus 6. And as many of you may know, the Panaview Plus 6 and the Panaview Plus 7 both run on Microsoft Windows CE6 operating system, which was released back in 2006. And at this point, it's over 15 years old. Since then, Microsoft has ended their support for Windows CE6. It actually ended on April of 2018. However, Rockwell has had an agreement with Microsoft to continue to sell Windows CE6 up until the end of February 2026, which at this point isn't all that far away. So this is one of the driving factors of the Series B release. That and the aging hardware, shrinking supply chain, which I'm sure you've probably all heard of the chip shortages out there. So Rockwell has redesigned the Panaview Plus 7 performance version, not only with new hardware, but with a new operating system as well. And these changes actually began shipping earlier this month. One thing to note, though, is that the Series B release only affects the performance version of the Panaview Plus 7, and the standard version is going to continue to remain at Series A. Before I discuss the differences in Series B version, let me first talk about what's staying the same. The catalog numbers, screen sizes, and cutouts are not changing. So if you order a Panaview Plus 7 performance today, you'll receive a Series B version, but if it's replacing a Series A, it's going to fit directly into the panel without any modifications. You'll still be able to get them in a touchscreen or keypad, touchscreen version, brandless version, conformal coded version, etc. All that's staying the same. You'll still continue to program them with FactoryTalk View Studio ME. And as far as that goes, none of the application limits will be changing. The number of displays, controllers, the alarms, all are based on the available memory of the unit. All that stays the same. And as well, the certifications. So the units will still be UL/CE certified and suitable for Class 1 Div 2 installations. As far as the controllers that you connect to, no changes there. Still be able to connect to ControlLogix, CompactLogix, Slick 500, Micro 800, etc. And you'll still be able to use the same faceplates and add-on instructions that you did in the past. And probably best of all, the list pricing is staying the same. No changes there. From a hardware standpoint, the mounting of the units will remain the same with the toolless cam locking clips that we use. We will still have an SD card for data storage, recipes, data logging, terminal replication, etc., that type of thing. The USB ports will still have 3 USB ports in the same location, 1 Type B programming port, and 2 Type A ports for peripherals such as keyboard, mice, thumb drives, etc. We'll still have dual Ethernet capabilities, so we can daisy chain our Ethernet in and out of the panel view. Or we could put it in a device level ring, which we refer to as the DLR. So as you can see, many of the features will look and feel the same, and in fact, they do remain unchanged. Now let's look at what's new and improved with the Series B release. First off, we have a new operating system. As you remember, that was one of the driving factors in the Series B release. And that new operating system is going to be Windows 10 IoT Core, which is basically a scaled down version of the same Windows 10 that you run on your desktop or laptop PC, except for it's designed to be more of a dedicated application version of Windows. Next, we have the CPU that's been upgraded to a dual core CPU, as opposed to the single core that was in the Series A. And the memory has been upgraded as well. So both from a RAM and a flash memory standpoint, Series A had 512 megabytes of RAM. We now have 4 gigabytes. And as far as the storage on the system, We have nearly 20 gigabytes of memory now, with 2 gigabytes available for storage, user storage, as opposed to the 80 megabytes that we had on Series A. So we went from megabytes to gigabytes now. Huge improvement there. One of the things you'll notice when you power up a Series B panel view for the first time is that you're greeted with a welcome wizard, and that wizard will easily guide you through the process of setting up the panel view for the first time. So it'll allow you to do things such as set your preferred language, assign your admin password, set up the terminal IP address, etc. And so you step through the wizard, and at the end, it'll be all configured and ready to go. At that point, you're ready to flash the firmware of the unit. That's right, I said flash the firmware. So much like our PLCs, they ship from the factory with a base level firmware, and then you get to decide what firmware you'd like to put in it. Series B is going to start at version 12 firmware, but moving forward, you'll be able to install any version 12 or newer. On top of that, the firmware flashing just got a lot easier, because rather than using the traditional firmware upgrade wizard that we use with Series A units, now we can use Control Flash or Control Flash Plus that you're familiar with. It's the same tool you use to flash the PLCs. In addition to that, you'll be able to take the firmware and put it on a USB drive and then flash it with a built-in utility that's pre-installed on the panel view. Taking a look at the back side of the panel view again, you'll notice a couple of changes that I didn't mention initially. Some of you may have noticed that one of the USB ports is now blue rather than orange. And in case you don't know what that means, it means that that port now supports USB 3.0, which is also known as super speed, and gives us speeds up to 5 gigabits per second. That's about 10 times faster than the 480 megabits of the USB 2.0 ports. So in addition to that, there's also a hardware button. The button is used to pull up a maintenance menu for the panel view. Anyone that's ever had to flash a Panel View Plus 7 back to factory defaults knows that that procedure got a little tricky. First, you had to power cycle the unit, then wait for the white box to appear in the corner, press and hold it till you get to the maintenance menu, and then navigate the menu with a keyboard. Well, that just got a lot easier. Just press the button. No more power cycling, no more hunting for a USB keyboard, even though they're pretty common these days. But hey, it's a touch screen. Let's use it. From here, you'll be able to do things like restore the terminal back to factory defaults, boot up into safe mode, which is starting FactoryTalk ME, but going into the configuration screen rather than booting and launching the MER project. You'll also be able to do a backup and restore of the terminal, which essentially takes a snapshot of the panel view and stores it on a USB drive. Could be used to replicate a panel view or in case of a panel view failure. There's also options to perform screen calibrations and change the orientation of the display. And what's really nice about the maintenance mode button is you can access it at any time. So even if the currently loaded project is running, no more trying to figure out how to get out of the project and get to the configuration. Simply press the button and the maintenance menu screen will pop up. So I think this is going to be a great help for the maintenance personnel. When it comes to new and improved features, there are a few. Printing, for example, will be much easier. Windows CE only supported certain printers, and you would have to install the driver to make them work. But with Series B, it uses AirPrint or Internet Printing Protocol, which most modern printers already support. So no drivers to load. You simply search for the printer, select it, and you're all set. FTP is now using Windows 10 IoT Core FTP server, and that is actually a secure FTP server, making the transferring of your files more secure. The web browser is now Microsoft Edge rather than Internet Explorer, so it supports HTML5, which not only allows you to display web pages, but also video playback. Although one caveat here is that it won't allow video playback of local files. They'll have to be hosted via the internet, at least initially. We'll still have the PDF viewer built in, which is Foxit PDF viewer. But in addition to that, now we can also display PDF documents right in Microsoft Edge. FactoryTalk Viewpoint's going to be supported as well. However, the VNC capability and the Office Viewer functionality is not included in the currently shipping release, but this will be included in a future firmware upgrade. Some other features have been improved as well. The Windows 10 IoT control panel, for example, is much easier to navigate than the CE version was. Instead of having 30 or so icons with separate functions to choose from, it's now more of a intuitive menu structure with only like a half a dozen icons. From the control panel, you'll be able to access settings such as enabling FTP or viewpoint, accessing the device information, account management, etc. The calibration routine has also been improved. While it's similar to the current calibration, rather than touching the screen at various spots around the screen, you'll now touch and drag the corners off of the screen. And this will result in a much more accurate calibration when completed. Some other items to note regarding the Series A to B transition are Series B units are only going to be available in the DC versions, so AC versions will not be available. If you have a Series A Panaview and you're running an MER created in a version 8 or greater, you'll be able to run that same MER on a Series B, even though you have firmware 12 on the Series B unit. And due to enhanced security of Windows 10 IoT, any auto run programs like an autorun.bat will no longer run. So you may have to keep that in mind if that's a feature you're currently using. All of the Activex controls that are with the Series A units will remain the same, with the exception of the web browser Activex. The web browser Activex allowed a web page to be displayed within a running project, but with Microsoft Edge, that'll only run full screen. So a workaround here would be to have a button launch Microsoft Edge, view the web page full screen, and then close it to return back to the running project. And then finally, any third-party Activex controls that were written for Windows CE may have to be rewritten to be compatible. Coming up in the next year or so will be virtual network computing, or VNC, the Office viewers, an updated Activex control for embedded web pages, as well as the ability to play those local files, local media files. Currently, audio is only supported for Windows 10 IoT and not for the ME application, but that functionality is going to be added. And while we don't initially have a screensaver, you can set the screen to dim after a specific period of time. There are a couple other features like capturing screens to a printer as well as printing to PDF. Those can be accomplished with a workaround and might be slightly different, but they will come out with an update which makes it more similar to the Series A. And the plan for third-party applications is to support those apps using UWP, which stands for Universal Windows Platform, and that's essentially downloading apps from a Windows store. So all of these features are intended to be rolled out over the next year or so, and they will all be made available via a firmware upgrade. I've just got a couple slides left. One of them is the Armorview on-machine version of the Panaview Plus 7. If you're using these units, they will also get an upgrade to Series B, and that's going to contain all the same functionality. Likewise, our stainless steel versions will be upgraded with Series B functionality. However, these are currently already at Series B due to another change, so they will be upgraded to a Series C. And my last slide here shows a few documents that are available on the Rockwell Automation Literature Library. The Quick Start Guide will help you step through the initial setup of the unit. The release notes will mention some of the same things that I talked about during this presentation. And on the box that ships with the Panaview, there's going to be a sticker with a QR code. You scan that QR code, it'll take you right to those release notes. Both the user manual and the technical documents have been updated with the Series B changes. And with that, I will turn it over to Dan.
Thank you, Eric. This is Dan Pelton, an automation engineer out of Saginaw, Michigan, and I'm going to introduce a touchscreen alternative. With our ever-challenging supply chain shortages everyone is experiencing lately, these new industrial computers and monitors may provide an alternative solution you should consider. Over the next few minutes, I will be introducing you to the variety of models available in this family of products. By the end, you just might have found the solution you've been looking for. Here is a quick comparison. On the left, I have a Panaview Plus 7 running one of the sample applications available in FactoryTalk View Studio. On the right, I have a 15-inch panel PC running the same application. This has a Windows operating system, so the FactoryTalk View ME station is required. This is installed and activated just like regular Rockwell software. ME station is sold in increments by the number of displays your application requires. There are just a few additional settings required, such as automatically running the application at startup, configuring a few touchscreen settings, and establishing your network connection. Now let's get into the details of this new product family. Nearly 2 years ago, Rockwell Automation acquired ASEM, or Awesome, an Italian-based computer company. Now Rockwell Automation can be your trusted supplier that can deliver a total system with PC hardware and Windows software, which we prefer to be Rockwell software. Let me introduce you to this new line of industrial PCs and monitors. Here is our product portfolio for the Awesome 6300 industrial PCs and monitors. The first of our box PC solutions is an Atom class book mount. Next box PC solution is our I-class book mount 6300B, followed by our next I-class, but this one is a wall mount version of the box PC. Rounding out the portfolio is our Awesome 6300P or M, which is our industrial panel computers and monitors. Now, let's go into more detail. So the first in the family is that box PC. This is our Atom class box PC, and also available in the same form factor is a thin client or 6300T. These are intended for HMI and third-party applications where size is very advantageous so that you can mount it in a small enclosure. These have a very extremely compact form factor that fits into the palm of your hand. These have optional DIN and wall mounting kits available for your different mounting needs. The all-in-one motherboard reduces risk of failure due to shock or vibration. And with that 6300T thin client, integration is very easy with Thin Manager software, allowing content to be delivered from a central server. These thin client versions come Thin Manager ready with your choice of 4 gig or 8 gigabytes of RAM. Next up in our box PC family is the wall mount version. These are intended for HMI and third-party applications where medium to high performance is required with limited ingress protection. The first feature available with these is jumbo frame for your large-scale data collection needs. Also, these have Wake on LAN functionality that lets you boot the system remotely from commands sent over your network. This could be on any one of the 4 LAN ports you see on the left. These come with Intel Core i3, 5, or 7 processors, are available with AC or DC powering options, can be purchased with or without a cooling fan, and I have an all-in-one motherboard with expansion capability through additional PCI slots. This is also Thin Manager software compatible, permitting dual use as a PC or a thin client. The next box PC version available is a book mount profile. This again is intended for HMI and third-party applications where that medium to high performance is required in a space-saving design with an optional UPS backup. This also has Intel Core i3, 5, or 7 processors, that same jumbo frame and Wake on LAN functionality, but comes with optional RAID 0 or 1 compliance, for applications requiring that high reliability. These also have an all-in-one motherboard, which is expandable with up to 2 PCI slots and extractable storage. And these are also compatible with Thin Manager software. Next up is our awesome 6300P or industrial panel computers. These are intended for HMI and third-party applications where medium to high performance is required while offering a combination monitor and PC design. Like I mentioned earlier, these can be used as a touchscreen alternative by running Factory Talk Machine Edition or Site Edition. These have optimal screen sizes to match your application, ranging from 12 inches all the way up to 24 inches with standard and widescreen aspect ratios. These come with analog resistive screens or projected capacitive screens or PCAP, and even offer true flat surface. These has optional aluminum bezels for your washdown environments, and of course our Thin Manager software compatible. Finally, we have our awesome 6300M industrial monitors. These are very similar to the 6300P sizes, ranging from 12 to 24 inch with standard and widescreen aspect ratios. Again, these come with analog resistive touchscreens for applications requiring a non-glass surface, or that projected capacitive screen or PCAP for multi-touch operation where you might need to pan, zoom, or pinch. Also, that true flat surface dramatically reduces nooks and crannies that debris can collect in. And they have optional aluminum bezels for washdown environments that offer an IP66 or 69K ingress protection. We are very excited about the upcoming product releases this year. First up is our 6300T or thin client with dual display that you can see pictured to the left. Also a long distance option for your applications where your monitor and your PC might need to be up to 100 meters apart. Also exciting is our expanded CTO or configured to order variants. And then also coming this year, on-machine solutions for monitors and panel PCs. Configurable PCs are here. Tailoring a PC to your unique application gives you what you need to run efficiently and help eliminate the need to overbuy. Configurations currently available include processor selections of Intel Atom, Celeron, or Intel Core i3, i5, or i7 processors. RAM ranging from 4 gig all the way up to 32 gig. Storage, solid state drives up to 1 terabyte, as well as different bezel options, as previously mentioned, or even branded and brandless options. And also coming soon is a UPS backup option. So we now have over 3,800 combinations available, with another 100,000 coming in 2022. Here's a little bit more information on that long distance option. So for your applications where your PC and your monitor may be mounted in different locations, we leverage the remote video link technology that leverages a standard Ethernet cable, allowing that connection up to 100 meters between devices. We're also looking forward to our on-machine solutions. So this is our 6300MA or on-machine monitor. These are available in 15, 19, and 22-inch displays with wide aspect ratio. These can be configured with or without hardwired buttons such as push buttons, selector switches, pilot lights, or even an emergency stop. These come with an optional long distance option, and these are cast aluminum units which feature powder coating with anti-scratch treatment, combining robustness with ergonomics and aesthetics. There's a variety of arm mounting options available from the top, the bottom, or even VESA mount. Finally is our awesome 6300 PA or on-machine panel offering. This is based on that same on-machine monitor design, available with 15-inch, 19 and 22-inch wide 16:9 aspect ratios. These can be purchased with Windows 10 IoT operating system or even no operating system installed. For processors, these come with Intel Celeron or I-Class 3, 5, and 7 processors. RAM can be up to 16 gigabytes of RAM with a configurable solid-state drive, and of course, thin manager compatibility. This gives you an idea of alternative solutions currently available or coming this year for your visualization needs. If you'd like to learn more about these awesome solutions, please reach out to your Kendall account manager or specialist, and we'll help you choose the best solution for your next application. Now, let me pass it along to Derek.
Hey, thanks Dan for that awesome presentation. My name is Derek Disher and I'm an automation engineer specializing in PLCs and HMIs serving the Grand Rapids area. Today we're going to talk about the Panaview 5000 series. Hardware-wise, there are a couple flavors of the Panaview 5000, the 5510 and the 5310. Let's start off with the Panaview 5510. With this panel, you can connect up to 4 processors and support up to 500 screens. It has a dual-core processor and comes standard with 2 Ethernet ports. They come in a wide array of sizes from 7 inches to 19 inches, with a few wide options available as well. All of the 5510 options come standard with the physical navigation button and can be optioned with physical keypad buttons. Then we have the Panaview 5310. This panel talks to 1 controller and supports up to 100 screens. It comes standard with 1 Ethernet port and is available in 5 screen sizes, from 6 inches to 12 inches. It's a great option if you don't need all the features of the 5510. Let's talk about the software. All Panaview 5000 HMIs are programmed using Studio 5000 View Designer. View Designer is part of the Studio 5000 family. So if you have Logix Designer today, you already have View Designer with no additional activation required. If you are already creating your logic in Studio 5000, then you should feel right at home with the look and feel of View Designer. One of the main benefits of View Designer is its integration with Logix. Getting started with a new project has been made incredibly easy to do. When you start a new project, you will be prompted to point to your HMI, then tell it what Logix project file it's looking for. This is all done within the same properties menu. That sets up a live link between the two. So you can go into Logix, add 15 tags, hit save, and within seconds, they will show up in View Designer. This also includes all the extended tag properties that Logix supports. For example, the name, value, description, and engineering units. There's no synchronization procedure, no import-export, they just work together. With the tight integration to Logix, this gives us some handy features when it comes to alarms. You can take a Panaview 5000 out of the box, plug it into a controller, and start getting alarms with no programming required on the HMI side. This works with the older alarm instructions as well as the newer tag-based alarms. You get 3 predefined screens with any new project. You have Alarm Summary, Manager, and History with no programming required. Another big feature is the addition of scalable vector graphics. No longer do you have to worry about pixel count on your screen. This makes it super easy to adapt your screens to any size panel without distorting your images. You can also configure the screen update rate to speeds as fast as 100 milliseconds. This allows for smoother animations. One of my favorite features is the built-in network options. Out of the box, you can power it on, go into the settings, and find or set your IP address. You can do this in just minutes with no need to close your running program. So here I've moved over to my desktop so I can show you how quick and easy it is to get up and running with a Panaview 5000. Let's create a new project. We'll make sure it's a view project and we'll select our panel type. I'll name this KCL demo and hit finish. Let the software get up and running. And the first thing it'll bring up is, hey, what controller are we looking for? So I'm going to say this is my controller, and then tell it what logics file we're looking for. We're going to give it a path to the controller. And then we will go up to Application tab and tell it the path to the HMI. You can hit apply, and just by doing that, we've created that live link to our logics program, and it's brought in all of our tags. So let's bring a couple items onto the screen. I'm going to make a quick program with a couple buttons and a tank. I like that one. We will scale it up, and then we'll make the button a little bigger. Copy and paste. This will be our start button and our stop button. And now we will bind these to a tag. So we'll select our button, come up to the Events tab, and give it a behavior. And here we see our tag browser. You can see your controller tags and your program tags. This one will be tied to the push button start. And this will be bound to our push button stop. And then for the tank, we're going to go back to the properties. And what's cool is any of these properties can be bound to a tag. So for this case, I'm going to bind the level to the accumulated value of our counter in the program. Now let's download this program and test it out. We'll give it a few seconds to download. What I'll end up doing is remoting into the panel view for you guys to see. Their download is complete. I'll open up our VNC viewer. Here we can see the 5510 that we just downloaded to. So I'll hit start, and it looks like we're up and running. So in a matter of minutes, we're up, running, we're talking to the controller. It's pretty cool stuff. Now I'll slide this off to the side, and I'm going to bring up our logics program. In here you can see I have an alarm that I'm going to trigger by toggling this bit. And right away we see that the Panaview 5000 instantly sees that alarm and brings in all the information. There was no programming done in View Designer, it just sees it automatically. Very handy feature. One last thing that I want to talk about is the scalable vector graphics. Not only does this mean that you can change the size of pretty much anything in the toolbox without it distorting, it also makes changing the panel size really easy. So this is designed currently as a 12-inch panel, but if we go into the properties and change this to, let's just say, a 7-inch display, we'll hit apply. It automatically scales everything for you. And what's cool is you can take this file that's designed to be put on a 7-inch display, and you can download it to any other panel size, and it'll automatically scale on the device for you. It's a feature that I thought was pretty cool. So anyways, let's get back to the presentation. So what is new in version 8 of View Designer? Let's start off with the web browser. This greatly expands the type of information available to your operators. Maybe you want to display web pages. Maybe it's some HTML help files or a parts ordering system. As long as it's available in the HTML5 format, we can display it. There's also support for MP4 videos and the ability to view IP cameras right on the HMI. The browser is fully configurable with everything from the window position on screen to the allowed URL locations that the operator can visit. Another new feature is the automatic diagnostics. If you have used previous versions of the Panaview 5000 and upgrade to version 8, you will notice a new diagnostics button on the banner. What this means is this. Say your controller is talking to an I/O card, and it's a diagnostics I/O card that has wire-off detection. Well, now you'll get that notification automatically with no programming required. There's also a history element to this, so you can go look at the past 1,000 diagnostic events. Other features in 8.01 are the support for up to 500 screens on the 5510. That's up from 100 screens previously. You can now have 3 separate data logs running simultaneously and clear them individually, whereas before you would have to clear the entire log. And now the keypad has options that allow you to adjust the size and location of the pop-up keypad. The last feature that is planned for 8.02 is the ability to edit groups directly on the canvas just by double-clicking on it. You can easily add elements to a group by dragging them into the group in the Graphics Explorer. Groups will automatically resize as elements are added, deleted, or moved within the group. 8.02 is planned for release later this month. From here, I'll pass the presentation off to John for the Q&A.
Hey, thank you, Derek. Appreciate that, sir. Guys, I got a couple announcements before we get rolling with the questions. The first is Rockwell's customer survey experience. If you received an email from customer survey at rockwell.automation.com, please take a few minutes to fill out the survey. It's around 10 to 15 minutes. We really value your feedback. The second is within a few days, you'll be receiving an email from our marketing team regarding this presentation. There is a survey link in that as well. If you could take a few minutes to fill it out, we value your feedback and hope to improve on the next go around. So any positive and negative feedback is appreciated. With that being said, let's move on to the questions. The first question is for Mr. Hansen. Does the Panaview 800 work with the other compact logics too? The ones that start with 1769.
Yeah, so that's there's kind of two parts to that. So any of the current 1769 processors, it does work with. Anything that falls into the 5370 family. There are some older compact logics, the original series, like the L3 processors, L2s. It does not work with those. And it also does not work with any of the 1768 processors. So there might be some workarounds using Modbus, but I really wouldn't recommend it. You know, you really want to work with one of our newer processors there.
Thank you, Ryan. Does the Panaview 800 support data logging to an SD card?
Yep, so the way the data logging works on the Panaview 800 is you set up a trend object. So there's no separate data log module. So you set up a trend object, and one of the properties of that trend object is to select where it's going to log data to. And one of those options is SD, as well as the USB. And there's you're allowed to log up to 6 data points. And you can only log from one trend object, so you can't set up multiple trends. And one other point, if you want to log continuously, there is a checkbox you need to select so that it'll log when that trend object isn't on the screen. Otherwise, it'll only log when that trend object is on.
Thank you, sir. The next question is going to be for Mr. Paquette. What is the new OS for Panaview Plus 7 Series B?
I believe that was covered in the presentation, but it's Windows 10 IoT Core.
Yep. Perfect. Will the Panaview Plus 7 standard terminals be removed to Windows 10 IoT Core?
Currently, there are no plans to migrate the Panaview Plus 7 standard to Windows 10 IoT Core or anything else for that matter. They will be continuing to sell that with Windows CE 6 for the next 4 years or so. However, that's 4 years away, so things could change. We may get plans to change that over, or we may end up just discontinuing the Panaview Plus 7 standard. Kind of remains to be seen yet what happens with it, but currently there are no plans for that.
Thank you. With the CE license good until 2/26, what is the future of the Panaview Plus 7 standard after that date?
Yeah, like I said, we don't really know yet what's going to happen with it. Currently, we're just going to continue to ship it with the Windows CE 6 until that date. So.
Is the Series B programming USB port inactive like Series A?
It has the same functionality as the Series A. There were some workarounds in the Series A that you could load a USB driver in your computer depending on which operating system you were running. So you could basically set up a default IP address and download it through the USB port at that default IP address. But I know for sure it doesn't work on Windows 10 for the newer operating systems. It worked back in the XP days, and it worked with Windows 7 and 8. So I believe the Series B will function the same way.
Got it. And one more for you. Is there a net gain in the storage, or does the OS use most of it?
So there is a net gain in the storage. The storage for the operating system as well as the storage for the programs. We went from 80 megabytes on the Series A to nearly 2 gigabytes on the Series B. So a lot more storage available there.
Perfect. Can I get into the Windows 10 OS like I can with the Panaview Plus 6 and 7 Series A?
And that is true, you can. The Windows 10 operating system is a little bit different than the Windows CE, obviously. But during the initial setup of the unit, you'll actually provide a password that allows you to exit out of the running application and get into the Windows 10, so you can get to the control panel and things like that. So yes.
And a couple more for you, Eric. Will I need to download the firmware from the website, or will it install when I install the latest and greatest Factory Talk View Studio?
So the Series B starts out at firmware 12, and since the Factory Talk View Studio version 12 has been out for quite some time, that firmware will not be on your computer. So you'll have to go get it initially from the website. After that, I would imagine, like our other Rockwell software, you load it up and it'll put the firmware on your computer. However, I would always recommend going to the website anyway, just to make sure you're getting the latest and greatest, because as patches come out or fixes come out, they update those with a minor rev. And so it's always a good idea to check the website and get the latest and greatest.
And the last one for you, Eric, is regarding the DC voltage supply. Does the amp draw stay the same?
And it does. Series A and Series B still have the same maximum current limit or supply limit as they had. So no difference there.
Perfect. And we will move on to questions to Mr. Pelton. If I'm running my Panaview MER on the awesome computer, how do I update the firmware on it? Is it like the Series B Flash?
So this would be a little differently than with the Panaview Pluses. Because this is a Windows 10 operating system, you're actually going to be installing Factory Talk View ME Station. And during that installation, you would choose which version of ME Station that you download from Rockwell and then install onto the terminal itself. So depending if you wanted the latest and greatest, you would go download Factory Talk View ME Station 12.0 and then install that on the computer. And then that would essentially be the firmware or MER required versions for that particular terminal and computer.
And one more for you, Dan. Do the 6300s come preloaded so it's ready to run the Panaview file?
Nope. So there is no pre-installed Rockwell automation software on these. So depending on your application need, you'd either install ME Station, or potentially if you needed a little bit more power, you could install SE Station on the terminal itself. But that would all have to be additional steps and purchased and installed separately.
Great, thank you. The next question, are there plant PAX faceplates for Panaview 5000 yet? Derek or Dan, do you guys want to take this one?
That one I do not know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I could field that one for you, Derek. Yeah, so I mean the plant PAX solution is based off of typically site edition applications, although there are some global objects for ME, but there is no plan or no libraries yet for the Panaview 5000. I'm not sure what Rockwell's roadmap, but nothing available yet. There's plenty of other faceplates out there that are available for the Panaview 5000, including I/O modules, static switches, power devices like power flux and kinetics drives, as well as some controller interfaces as well. So there are lots of faceplates out there available for Panaview 5000, just not plant PAX objects yet.
Thanks, Dan. I'm going to direct one more to you. Is a UPS needed for the PCs to coordinate a shutdown?
Yeah, that one caught me a little off guard, so I had to grab the manual real quick. But it is suggested that the computers be supplied by their own disconnect or supplied with a UPS because we do want to ensure that the Windows operating system is shut down before we disconnect power to any of those awesome products, including the PCs, the book mounts. So yes, that is the case.
Thank you. Can the Panaview 5000 terminals be used with the existing SLC 500 controllers? Derek?
No, your Slick 500 will not talk to the Panaview 5000. They are compatible with the Compact Logics and Control Logics controllers. If you are still using a Slick 500, we recommend finding a migration path to something newer.
Thank you, sir. And how does the VNC work when using the first time? Derek, I believe that's another question.
Yeah. Setting up the VNC is super easy. If you're pulling this out of the box, there's just a setting in the settings menu that you can enable either full control or just view, and then you are required to have a password set on your program. So you create a password in View Designer and turn on the option on the panel view, and it only takes a minute to get up and running.
Awesome. I thought that the Panaview 800 only worked with the 1769 L1 and L2 processors. Are you stating that it could be used with a 1769 L33 ERMS now, for example? Ryan, that question is directed back at you, sir.
Yeah, so it can be used with the 1769 L33 RMS. It's just the older, there's like an L3 processor, and then there's like an L1 and L2 that came out quite a few years ago now, that are not part of the 5370 family. So you should be able to select that L33 and use that now.
Thank you. And Eric, got another question for you. When did the Series B start shipping?
They actually started shipping earlier this month. So if you ordered one anytime, excuse me, during this month, you'll get a Series B when it arrives. So when you order it, the part numbers are the same, and the Series A units of the performance versions are no longer shipping. The Bs are. When you do get it, you'll have a big sticker on the box, a big yellow sticker, I believe it is, if you're lucky enough to see the box. It'll have a QR code. You can scan that QR code and it'll take you right to the release notes for the Series B units. So they are shipping as our regular panel views. However, the on-machine version and the stainless steel versions, they still have some Series A left in the supply chain that they're shipping out. Those will be migrating to Series B shortly, though.
Thanks, Eric. Is there any way to access this presentation? Yes. One will be posted on our YouTube channel, and you'll also receive a link to the video from our marketing department My guess will be within the next day or two. And I will leave, that is the last question we have right now. I will leave it open for another minute or so. If anybody has any additional questions that we can answer. While I wait for any more questions to come in, I'll just have another couple of reminders for you guys. So Kendall Electric is starting the live KCLs back up at our locations starting in April. So keep an eye out for those from your account managers and from our marketing department. And the next virtual KCL will be hosted in June by us. So please attend that. We did not receive any additional questions. So with that, I'll give you guys back an extra half hour in your day. Thank you very much for attending the presentation and have a fantastic afternoon. Oh, I see a couple actually just did come in. Now, does the Series B support multiple languages? Eric?
It actually does. And in fact, it supports more languages than the Series A. So they've actually added some languages to it.
And is there any major difference in the price for the Series A and B?
Same price.
Fantastic. All right, gentlemen, with that, we will call it an afternoon. Again, I appreciate your time and take care and have a great afternoon and evening. Thank you very much.